I never imagined my first gallery opening would end with the lights flickering out one by one, leaving me standing alone in the dark with nothing but the hollow echo of departing footsteps. All eyes had been on me, but not for the reasons I had hoped. I stood there, 32 years old, surrounded by canvases that had consumed 3 years of my life, my hands trembling slightly as I reached for a glass of wine that was no longer there. The room, once buzzing with the pretentious murmur of the art world elite, now held its breath. My brother stood across from me, smirking, his designer suit without a single wrinkle, champagne glass dangling carelessly between his fingers. "It suits your career," he said with a dry laugh. Derivative and soon to be forgotten. For a second, I didn't process the words. I blinked, forcing a tight smile that didn't quite reach my eyes, hoping desperately that I misunderstood. But then I heard it, my father's voice, soft but cutting. "He's lucky we even showed up." He didn't say it like a joke. No trace of humor, no wink. Just fact. A cold confirmation of something I'd always feared he believed. I felt my breath catch, my heart began to race, thudding loudly in my chest as if it wanted to escape. My hands trembled slightly as I straightened my jacket, trying to appear calm, composed. I could feel the weight of the remaining guests' stares pressing down on me like a spotlight I never asked for. I didn't look at Marcus, my brother. I couldn't. But I saw him from the corner of my eye, his mouth curled into that familiar satisfied smirk he always wore when he thought he'd won. Eliza, my partner, stood quietly beside me. She didn't move. Not yet, but I felt her fingers lightly graze mine. A silent question. "Are you okay?" I wanted to scream, to stand up and yell at both of them. Ask why they were always so cruel. Even now, but my throat felt tight, like something was wrapped around it, squeezing. I couldn't get the words out. Why did their words still hurt me after everything I'd been through? Why did I still crave their approval? Was I still the same boy I used to be? Desperate, invisible, never enough. The air in the room turned heavy. I could hear someone coughing awkwardly near the wine table. A guest dropped a program. No one laughed this time, not even the polite kind, just silence. I looked at the painting Marcus stood in front of, my centerpiece. Entitled Homecoming, it featured a door hanging open on broken hinges, leading to a room filled with light so intense you couldn't see what lay beyond. The canvas edges were deliberately frayed, the paint thick and textured. It looked raw, emotional, exactly what I'd intended. I tried to speak, but the words didn't come. I only nodded, as if this was all perfectly normal, being insulted by your own family at a celebration meant for you. My cheeks burned, and not from the 2 glasses of wine I'd managed to drink between forced conversations. Eliza finally stood slow, calm, the way she always did when she was thinking 10 steps ahead. She walked over to the painting, crouched beside the small placard that described it, and started inspecting it with quiet interest. My father tilted his head. "It's about support, showing up," he said, as if Marcus's words hadn't just sliced me open in front of everyone. Eliza didn't respond. She just looked at me, her eyes steady. There was something about her gaze, a spark, a quiet reassurance, and then she whispered, so low no one else could hear it. "Just wait." I didn't know what she meant, but somehow her voice was the only thing that kept me from falling apart right then. Because something was coming, something none of them saw coming. If you had asked me a year ago what my first gallery opening would be like, I'd have told you about appreciative murmurs, sold-out pieces, and people who were proud of me. Proud of us. Instead, I got Marcus's smirk and a scathing review of work he had barely glanced at. But before all that, before the insult and the silence, I was actually excited. Nervous, sure, but excited. The morning of the exhibition, I remember standing in the gallery adjusting the lighting on my largest piece. The gallery smelled like fresh paint and the subtle scent of the flowers Eliza had arranged in minimalist vases throughout the space. Soft ambient music floated through hidden speakers, and for once I let myself believe it could be a good day. Eliza walked in holding a small package wrapped in brown paper. She kissed my cheek and said, "It's perfect, Nate." I smiled, but there was that flutter in my stomach, not the creative kind, but the kind that warned me something might go wrong. I blamed it on opening night jitters. I'd invited everyone, even the ones I wasn't sure I should. Marcus, my father. Aunt Jenna would probably criticize the darkness of my work and suggest I paint something people would actually want in their living rooms. But I invited them all anyway because I thought, maybe this would be the moment things changed. Maybe they'd see me differently now. Not as the quiet, awkward second son, not the one who threw away a business degree to play with paints, but as an artist, someone who'd grown up, someone worth showing up for. I had tried so hard for this collection. Years of late nights, teaching art classes to pay bills, rejections from smaller galleries, criticism that made me question everything. And then, out of nowhere, Gabriella Chen, the owner of this gallery, saw my work at a small coffee shop exhibition and offered me this chance. When I got the offer, the first person I told after Eliza was my father. I thought maybe, just maybe, the news would spark something in him. But his response was, "Are you sure it's a good idea right now? The economy isn't exactly friendly to luxuries like art. Right now." As if timing had anything to do with it, after everything I'd been through. Still, I didn't let it crush me. I sent invites, I planned everything myself. Eliza helped, of course, but I insisted, because I wanted to be the one to make it beautiful. To prove I could. And honestly, the night was beautiful for the first hour or so. Former professors showed up with encouraging words. Fellow artists came with genuine admiration. My neighbor brought his entire family. There was laughter, stories, people studying my canvases like they were trying to see through to my soul. It was almost perfect. Until they arrived. Marcus walked in first, 15 minutes late, wearing a suit that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. His watch gleamed under the gallery lights, his shoes so polished they reflected the paintings above them. His energy felt like he'd just stepped off a corporate jet and into my small, warm bubble. My father followed behind him, clutching a small gift bag like it was a last-minute obligation. They didn't hug me, just nodded, said hi. Still, I smiled. I told myself it was fine, that they came at all was something. But when Marcus walked over and stopped in front of Homecoming, everything shifted. Even before he opened his mouth, I knew something was off. The energy changed. I felt it in my chest. Tight. Anxious. That's the thing about family. You can spend your whole life hoping they'll see you, that this time they'll finally say, "We're proud of you." But sometimes they just come to remind you they never will. And yet I still tried. I still wanted the night to be good. I had no idea how wrong I was, or how much everything was about to change. I watched Marcus stare at my painting, the culmination of months of work, pouring my soul onto canvas. He tilted his head slightly, the way people do when they're about to deliver a verdict they know will hurt. "It suits your career," he said, loud enough for the nearby guests to hear. Derivative and soon to be forgotten. The words hit me like a slap. A few people gasped. Some awkwardly laughed, probably unsure if it was supposed to be a joke. But I knew his tone. That wasn't a joke. That was a weapon. And then, as if on cue, my father added his own twist of the knife. "He's lucky we even showed up." It was so casual, so dismissive. Like I was some distant acquaintance who barely made the invitation list, instead of his son presenting the most important work of his career. The room went quiet. The only sound was the faint hum of the ambient music still playing in the background, something ethereal and flowing that now felt completely out of place. I swallowed hard. My fingers dug into my palms as I forced my shoulders to stay still. My chest felt tight, like my lungs couldn't fully expand. Don't break. Not here. Not in front of them. I looked at Eliza. She was standing just beside me, but it felt like the only real, solid thing in the room. Her jaw was clenched, eyes fixed on Marcus, then on the painting. She didn't say a word. Not yet. But her silence wasn't the kind that meant fear. It was the kind that meant calculation, and I knew that look. Still, I couldn't stop the flood inside me. Why? Why was I still letting them do this to me? Why was I hoping for warmth when I knew they only came with cold? Marcus had always been the star, the achiever, the golden one. His investment firm was featured in business magazines. His house looked like an architectural digest spread. His social media was curated to perfection with posts about leadership retreats and charity galas. Me, I was always the one who struggled, the one who needed to apply himself. And when I finally found my voice through art, finally built something I was proud of, I thought maybe this was the moment they'd see me not as the boy who always fell behind, but as someone worthy of standing beside. Instead, they brought contempt and jokes wrapped in poison. Someone near the wine table whispered, "That's kind of harsh," but no one said it loud enough to matter. The weight of that room, it was unbearable, and yet I stayed standing. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I didn't defend myself. I wanted to. God, I wanted to yell, "Get out, both of you." But the words caught in my throat. I just nodded, just smiled, just pretended this was fine, because that's what I've been trained to do, to smile while bleeding. Eliza leaned in and gently touched my arm. Her thumb moved in small circles over my wrist, our silent language. Then she moved, calm, steady, and walked over to the painting like it was something worth protecting. My dad rolled his eyes and muttered, "It's about showing up." But Eliza ignored him. She crouched by the painting, gently touching the plaque and the frame like she knew something we didn't. She looked at me and whispered, "Just wait." In that moment, I knew this wasn't over. Eliza knelt in front of the painting like it was something sacred. Her touch was calm and careful, and somehow, that steadiness helped ease the storm in my chest. Across the room, I could feel my dad's disapproval. Marcus stood with his arms crossed, smirking, just like when he used to hide my sketchbooks or mock my dreams of art school. And tonight he did it again, in front of everyone. But I didn't move. I just watched Eliza. She didn't treat the painting like it was broken. She looked like she knew exactly what she was doing. She glanced at me again and repeated, "Just wait." I gave the smallest nod. Then she turned to Marcus, calm and polite. "This piece is actually really special," she said. Marcus frowned. "It's just a broken door." Eliza smiled slightly. "No, it's more than that." She took out a small remote and pressed a button. The lights dimmed and a soft UV light came on above the painting. And everything changed. The broken door lit up. Hidden paint showed wings growing from the door. Light shone through with stars, galaxies, and tiny people reaching for each other. Around the frame, glowing words appeared. "The breaking is how the light gets in." At the bottom, in childlike handwriting. "They were wrong about you." Every painting in the gallery had a second layer, hidden meanings, quiet power, and messages of hope. Eliza had set up this surprise. The show wasn't what it first looked like. It was much more. Marcus looked stunned. My father was speechless. The gallery owner stepped forward. "This is the real show," she said, smiling. "Revelations. What remains when darkness falls. Nathan doesn't just paint, he transforms." The room clapped. People gasped. Some even laughed in joy. I stood there, overwhelmed, not with shame, but pride. I looked at Marcus. He seemed small now. And my dad, he looked like he wanted to speak, but didn't know how. I walked up to my painting and touched the frame. The UV light made me glow a little too. Maybe I was part of the art now. "Thanks for coming," I said to them. "You were right, there's always more beneath the surface." I paused. "If you're willing to look." Marcus stayed silent, but his eyes said enough. Shock, maybe even a bit of respect. Eliza came over and held me close. And for the first time that night, I felt whole. People wandered through the gallery, discovering all the hidden details. There was magic in the air. I just stood quietly, hand on the frame, letting it all sink in. I kept hearing whispers. Extraordinary, beautiful. Words I never thought I'd hear about my work. Marcus didn't say a word. He just left. But my dad stayed. He stood in front of Homecoming for a long time, then walked over to me. "I don't get it," he said softly. "But it's powerful." From him, that meant everything. He gave me a small gift, a photo of me as a kid, proudly holding my first painting. "Your mom always kept this," he said. "She saw your gift first." Then he left too, but slowly, like he was thinking. Later, Eliza and I sat together in the gallery. She kissed my temple and asked, "You okay?" I nodded. Not just okay, changed. The whole exhibit had been my idea. The dual layers, the hidden truths. It wasn't a trick. It was about how we see the world and what we miss in the dark. For years, I tried to be what others wanted. I smiled through insults and stayed quiet to keep peace. But now, I knew, sometimes silence is strength. Eliza didn't fight my battles. She just reminded me I wasn't alone. That changed everything. As the night ended, Eliza found a small note hidden behind the painting. I had written it during a hard time. "They will see what they expect to see. But you know what's really there." Tears fell, not from pain, but from healing. We sat on a bench, surrounded by my work, dreaming of new projects and future stories. I made a promise to myself. I won't shrink anymore. I'll create without fear. And to anyone who's ever felt invisible, you don't need permission to shine. You already belong. Sometimes all it takes is a different light to see how beautiful you've always been.